to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. I have a new type of Power Talk Friday for you. So here are the kinds of things that we do on Power Talk Friday, right? First of all, we have my straight up interviews with other business coaches and experts in and out of the industry, right? Usually it's a topical thing, SEO, hiring, something like that. Then we have our Where Are They Now on Power Talk Friday, where I might catch up like I did with Darla Powell, because I spoke to her the first year when she had just launched her interior design business. And then we spoke to her a year later when she launched Wingnut Social. And if you are an interior designer and the social media aspect of your business is driving you crazy, I encourage you to head over to Darla Powell's podcast, Wingnut Social. And not only can you get a lot of information there and she, teaches you things, but of course you can learn how to work with Darla herself and her team as far as helping you with your social media. And then we have the things I learned from a well-designed business type of Power Talk Fridays, right? That's when a listener, one of you, will email me the list of all the things that, here's the kicker, not all the things that the things that you learned from the show, but the things that you learned and what you did from learning them and what the results were. You see, when I get an email like that, that's when I say, oh, yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, why don't you please come on the show and let's share this with everybody. So those are the types of things that we've been doing here on Power Talk Friday. This is a new one. It's live on-air coaching call. So outside the design industry, in podcasting industry, this is a very common practice. Many, many, many podcasters that happen to also be business coaches will often do on-air coaching calls. And I had not really thought about doing it or not doing it. Honestly, it just wasn't on my plate. But you'll hear me tell the story about Stephanie Castillo when she emailed me. And I just said, you know what, let's do it this way. So anyway, so I really enjoyed myself. I enjoyed learning about Stephanie and her business and where she is and what's going on. And I'm not going to share anything. I'll let you learn it as I learn it too. Okay. So before I do that, let's just remember a big, huge thank you to Article.com for sponsoring the show. Keep in mind, the biggest thing. Look, I love their furniture. It's a great line of mid-century Scandinavian furniture. I love the clean lines. I love the simplicity of the pieces. I love that you can get sofas and you can get office furniture and outdoor furniture. I love all that. But you know what I love the most about it? Because I've said it to you a dozen times. What I love the most about it is that their To the Trade program is run by interior designers. Okay. That's what I love about it. So that, what that says to me? That says to me if you need to call them or you need to communicate with them, whether it's email or telephone call, they're going to get what it is that you're going through. They understand what's important to you because they're interior designers and they've been in your shoes and done your type of work. So that's the thing. There's a lot of things to love about Article.com, but that is the one thing that really stands out for me. Okay, so if you are interested in opening a trade account with Article.com, please use this URL, welldesigned.article.com. Okay. I don't get extra money. Look, they sponsor the show, right? This is a business. Okay. But that's how they know by sponsoring this show that they're getting inquiries from you guys. Okay. It's just like when somebody calls your interior design firm and you say, how did you hear about me? Because you want to know what part of your marketing is working for you. Okay. So it's very important to help them out in that regard and let them know that if you did hear about them through my podcast, to please share that with them and let them know. Okay. All righty. So let's get to this new type of show. Love to hear the feedback on this. If you would definitely share your feedback with me either on Instagram in the post for this show, and on Instagram you can find me at LuAnn Nigara, or on Facebook at A Well-Designed Business. Would love to know what you thought about this format and this type of episode. Okay? Alrighty, so I am looking forward to sharing this with you and introducing you to Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Steph, you and I started talking on Instagram, right?
Yes.
Yes. And you started asking me all these kinds of questions. And it's so funny because so often on Instagram, on DM or something like that, somebody will ask me one question. And I'm like, okay, one question. Here we go. And then you're like, and this. And I'm like, okay, that's way, you know what it is, Steph? It's not that I don't want to help you. It's not that I don't want to answer. It's just that I can't type that little bitty thing on my phone. I'm like, this is too much work. And so I can barely type on the actual laptop, let alone on my telephone. So you and I decided that we would address, we have not discussed your questions ahead of time other than you've given me a list of your questions, but that I finally was like, you know what, you seem like a nice person, and I don't know what, the moon and the stars just lined up, and I said, let's just get on a thing. And every other podcaster on the planet does on-air coaching calls. Let's see how this works. So
why not?
That's it. So to just get people up to speed a little bit, you are brand new as an interior designer, but you are 27 years coming from being a hairstylist, which,
Yes.
and you have a lot of, that came with a lot of responsibility. You as the stylist and wherever, I don't know if you owned your own shop, but you were a manager of shops. You had to help younger and educate some of the other stylists in the shop. You had to recruit other stylists to the shop. So, and the other thing is you have kids in school and you're the board president for your downtown association. So you're not without some chops here.
Correct.
Right. It's just that interior design is new for you. And so that's where all of the gray area comes in.
Yes.
Okay. So since you first contacted me, you have you've done some things. You just mentioned to me off air that you are thinking about possibly going into a partnership with two other women. By the time, just to get everyone up to speed, by the time we're talking, well, at least when we started talking, you have your license, you have your social media site set up, but you do not have a website set up. Do you have that as of now? Because I searched it, I didn't find it. Okay.
That is my last thing. I did just start a blog, but my last piece is my website.
Where does the blog live if you don't have a website?
You can find my blog via Instagram.
Okay. Understood. Okay. So where are we at now? So is the most pressing thing that you're curious about getting questions answered on revolving around this potential partnership, or is it on just the nuts and bolts of running the design firm? Where are we at, Steph?
It's all of it. It's a little overwhelming, and my biggest thing is I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Like, people know these answers. I just want to talk to the right people. People have already done this. So I know that I can just get those answers from other people. And the two girls that I just met that we want to go in business together have answered a lot of my questions because they are interior designers. And before them, I have never even spoke to an interior designer before, a real one. So,
okay. So tell me about this potential partnership then. What is it that these two women have that they bring to the table? What do they see in you bringing to the table?
Well, we each have a different style, that's for sure. One of them already owns a wallpaper business. And she's an interior designer, and she specializes more in kitchens. And the other gal is a more full spectrum interior designer, with, new builds and large houses and stuff like that, more luxury. And then there's me, who is really into this thing that I call restyles, and I really want to get into feng shui. So putting the three of us together, we all want to learn from each other. We all want to grow from each other. We want to be in the same building and hash things out together and share our trades and share our vendors and share information. So we've put a lot of thought in how we want this to look. And one of the gals really wants to do kind of like the retail aspect of it as well. So our idea is keep our own businesses. Like, I'm going to keep Rumble Interiors. They're each going to keep their separate businesses that way. And then we're going to call ourselves Collective Interiors. And within Collective Interiors are these three businesses.
Okay. And so thank God, because honestly, as you're starting to describe it, I was like, why are we partnering? Okay. So you're not partnering to the point of finances and mixing all of that stuff.
No.
Okay. When you say that you're going to function under this umbrella of Collective Interiors, what does that mean? Does that mean just from a standpoint of sending out marketing and advertising? It'll be like a brochure or whatever it is, and it says Collective Interiors, and then it says meet Stephanie, she does restyles, and meet so-and-so, she does kitchens, and meet so-and-so, she does whatever?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay. So the one woman that has the wallpaper spot, is she also the woman that really wants to have a retail aspect of it?
No, that's the other gal.
Okay, so do they both currently have retail spots?
No.
So the one that wants a retail spot, that would be her thing. That would not involve you guys. Is that true?
Yeah, we would. The idea is that we would kind of rent office space in the building, and then if we happen to sell any of the stuff that we have, that she has, decor items, we would get commission off of that.
Okay.
And then if we wanted to eventually buy into that and have our own curated area, because we all have very different styles, we could do that as well.
Okay. And do you guys have this location in mind already? Are you that far along?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And do you all, like, your business is brand new. Are you going to have to finance your part of this with savings or family money? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And that's okay for your personal family, whatever that is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so you've assessed, I just have to ask, you've assessed that risk within, I don't even know if you're married, you're single, I have no slightest thing about you, but you have assessed that risk, and you know that you're not taking your mortgage payment or your apartment payment or your kid's sneaker money, right?
Yes, correct. No,
okay.
We're not doing
that. Okay. So so have you guys signed a lease? Are we that far along, or we're still thinking?
We're getting ready to send in a letter of intent. That's where we're at right now.
Okay. And you've only recently met these women, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You feel a good synergy?
The first day I met the first girl, within an hour, I said, I don't know if I'm crazy, but I think we need to go into business together.
Okay.
She goes, oh my God, I think so too. And it's just bam.
Okay. I've had that experience. So
weird.
Yeah, I don't discount that. I mean, it doesn't always mean that you should, but I have had that experience as well. And it ended up proving to be a right thing. So there is something to be said for that, Steph. So I'm okay with that. Now, when you guys, but to see, the other thing too is you're going to rent your own square footage that is going to be your name on that lease. Has nothing to do, if one of the other women is not financially solvent, it won't affect you and where you rent and your lease. Am I correct?
I haven't got that far yet.
Okay, because I'm visualizing a space that maybe is like a little suite of shops or offices, and there's a common area that you walk in, whether it's a lobby or whatever, but then there's Rumble Interiors in one door, and then the other door and another door, and you each have a lock for your door. Is that not the case?
We're kind of thinking, you walk in, there's the retail spot all the way in the back. We each have our own separate offices, whether they are open air or whether they have a door. We haven't gotten that far.
Oh, but the square footage that you're renting, you are renting a single space from a landlord, and the three of you will be in it.
Correct.
Okay. So you are getting mixed up with these girls. Okay. Well, I have to say, as much as I know it's possible to have that you had me at hello moment with somebody, it's another thing to immediately sign a legal document with that somebody. I mean, I have to say the truth. Okay. You're a grown woman. This is a 1 hour, coaching session. We're not going to solve every single situation. I'm just more in my mind pointing out the possibility of something that you should consider. That's all. And there's not a chance with knowing literally exactly the little bit that I know that I would tell you that it's not a good idea. But you are going to be legally entwined with these women. And so, for instance, if the rent is $1,000 a month, whether you decide that you each pay $333 of it, or one pays $500 and the others each pay $250, whatever it is. Did you see I just did math like that on the fly?
That was quick.
Whoa, that was pretty awesome, I have to say. But the point is that if someone doesn't come to the table, if someone comes to the table 1 month short, your other two are going to be responsible for that.
Right.
So, and that could be icky if that happens. So just to be a tiny bit of devil's advocate, have you done even the level of research? I'm sure in your position, 27 years as the hairstylist, you probably hired hairstylists to work for you, right?
Yes.
Okay. The level of research that you even do when you hire a hairstylist to work for the company that you work for, have you done that with these women?
No.
Yeah, see, see, and this is more important. And I'm sure your friends are going to listen to this. This is nothing to disparage them. I would tell them the same thing, right? So this isn't about I have this knowledge that one of them is not trustworthy. It's about you're going to sign a legal document. We need to have a little bit of, it can't just be all on good faith and good vibes. Okay, because if is it a 1 year lease, a 3 year lease, a 5 year lease? Do we know that yet? Are you that far?
We're not that far.
Right. Okay. So the thing is, if you had said to me, I met these gals last spring, and we spent the whole summer and fall and, this early part of winter, and we've been collaborating and we've been referring clients, and I've called them in on a project that was above my head from a design standpoint. They've given me projects that, the full service luxury didn't want to handle. I would still want you to do the basic level research that you would do if you were hiring a hairstylist for your other employer, right? Not even your own salon, but I would feel more comfortable in that you're jumping into a lease with them.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So we're not going to beat a dead horse. You're going to make a decision as a grown-up lady whether you're going to listen to that or go by your gut. That's it's all on you. Okay. Yeah. So now, going beyond that now, so it sounds, and by the way, can I tell you, Steph, did you listen to the episode with Lori Paranjape?
I'm sure I did.
Okay, so Lori Paranjape, Mrs. Paranjape, she talked about how she has design space within a woman's retail showroom, and that they have partnered. She has her design part of her business that's her own. The woman owns the showroom on her own, but then they partner on other parts of the business. So in concept, I love this idea, actually. Right? I mean, big picture, love it. I love it because it's a way for all three of you to have a professional space to work in. Like you said in the beginning, and I don't recall if it was on air or off, but you said just a way to have somebody to talk to and somebody to collaborate with and somebody to say, does this look great or am I crazy? Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. It's so important to not feel that we're out there all by ourselves. And the fact that these two women, which have more experience, see something in you is awesome. And so that's great. So there is not one part of me that wants to be Debbie Downer on this idea for you. I just want you to do it eyes wide open. That's all.
Right.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So now, Some of the other questions that you asked me, it sounds like to me with the meeting these women, the vendors and how to set up accounts, have those questions been answered already, or do you still have questions surrounding those?
Well, the vendors, I've kind of started figuring that out a little bit. Just like I got signed up with Cravat and
very good
stuff like this. And so I think I just have to figure out who the vendors are, vendors are basically. There's so many. The other one is the like tradespeople trying to figure out, I live in a small town. I was out on a consultation the other day and the painter was there giving his bid. And I was like, oh, listening to him. And I'm like, can I have your card?
Right.
He's like, sure. So I'm like, I guess this is just how you do it. You just have to ask around, meet people. And then once I got his card, I asked the other gals that I'm like, have you heard of this guy? They're like, oh, yes, he's great, but don't use this guy. He's not great. I'm like, okay, this is, good information. I'm writing it all down. So, you kind of slowly figure that stuff out. I have not had to use anybody yet. I haven't had a job like that. I've had to call a painter or an electrician. Everybody's so busy. That's what everybody talks about is you can't find a plumber. You can't find an electrician. Right. So I'm, luckily these girls do have tradespeople that they work with. So one other bonus point of being with them is that they can refer people to me that way.
That's awesome. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Now, remind me where you're located, Stephanie?
We are in Ellensburg, Washington. It's about 2 hours east of Seattle.
Okay. So the only way that you could go to a design center, I mean, I'm assuming there's one in Seattle, so you would drive all the way to Seattle.
Yes.
Okay. So that is a worthwhile excursion for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it definitely is if you haven't done it yet. And I would definitely do that. And maybe if either or both of these women are familiar with the design center, you make it, a group, trip and, make it a girls' day out or whatever. But I would go there since you have already signed up for your Cravat account. I would make an appointment, tell them that you're coming and you'd like to meet the showroom manager and introduce yourself to them. And do the same with some of the other brands in the building, whether it be Robert Allen, Dora Lee, whoever it is, you know what I mean? Just and then of course, walk around and familiarize yourself with the product. But the idea is that you want to build relationships. So by calling the Cravat showroom and saying, hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm a brand new interior designer and I just signed up for an account with you. I'm 2 hours away. I'm not often going to be able to come to the design center, but I'm coming next Tuesday and I'd love to meet the showroom manager. And so what happens is all you're going to do is take 15 minutes of their time. They want to put a face to a name so that, most of the time and also too, as a matter of fact, I would ask your rep, who is your sales rep? Call up, ask who is your sales rep, and then ask if you can meet the sales rep and the showroom manager at the same time. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Typically, you would find out if your sales rep would come to you, which is also important to do. But because it's a worthwhile excursion for you to go to the design center in general, you may as well make your meeting there, okay?
Yeah.
Especially because you're not set up in a spot yet, and maybe it'll be a month or 3 months until you are set up officially in a spot. But it is important that you don't even think twice about, I haven't ordered anything yet. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't know, what I need to know. You don't need to know anything. You just, hi. I have an account with you. I wanted you to meet me and I wanted to see the showroom, and the thing is what you could do that particular day, I don't know the policy of that particular showroom, but it's been many, many years since I've needed to know what happens when a new account gets set up. I don't know if they'll give you books or not, right? So I get books, but I'm ordering hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in window treatments, right? So I don't even know what it is to start over again like that. But I do know that most companies are very selective where their books go because the books are very expensive to produce, and to place them in a place that it might just sit on a shelf and not be used, they don't make money that way, right? So you might say, are there some, when you meet the rep, you might say, are there some just basics, some books of whites and grays that I could have as go-to basics? Is that possible? If he says no, then say, okay, how about if I just take a run through the showroom and maybe you show me 20 samples, 20 fabrics that are go-tos, staple fabrics that I could get the memos and bring them back with me to keep in my library. Okay. So I would do that. And then you do that with whoever you can go through the building and do. Now, here's the thing about having loose memo samples in your home library. Like, it's torture. Like, I'm going to be serious with you, right? So you have to set up your home studio pretty organized, or your studio organized. And of course, you always have to check stock when you go to use it, because a year from now, it could be a discontinued pattern. And this is if you don't have a rep visiting you. And that's the other thing to ask. Once I'm set up, will you as a rep come and visit me, and how often will it be? Okay. I require my reps to visit me once a quarter. Because I have a lot of books. I probably have 2,000 sample books, and I don't want to pull a book off a shelf and open it up and have Mrs. Smith fall in love with it and need 25 yards, and there's no yardage left because it's, a drop pattern. And
right.
So that makes me nuts. And so they have to come in my showroom once a quarter and pull the discontinued books. But I don't know what happens when you're not really a stocking studio, right? Maybe the sales rep doesn't come around as often. Okay. I will tell you, don't hesitate to ask for the visit. You see, that's their job. Their job is to service and visit you. I don't care what company we're talking about. So even if it's twice a year, hey, could you just show me the new spring line? Hey, could you just show me this? Hey, and the thing is too, by making the appointment and setting it up and establishing the relationships, you become a face to each of these sales reps for all of the companies that you want to do, flooring, whatever it may be. And then what happens is they'll think of you when they can help you out. And so they might have an account that's closing down, and they've got an extra set of books, and they're thinking, what am I going to do with these books? Oh, that's Stephanie. She's such a great lady. Let me, give her a couple of these books. So that doesn't happen if nobody knows who you are, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then as far as the trades, you're absolutely right. It is, trial and error. This is great that these two women have some resources for you. So you're not like you were a month ago when we first started talking and had nobody, right? And then the same with these guys, whether it's the plumber or it is the carpenter or the electrician. The thing is to remember that if you always treat the relationship with the frame of mind that they are your equal, that they are a professional person just like you are, and their day is just as complicated and wacky and wonky as your day is, and you're all on the same team, you will develop good relationships with your trades. It's whether it's the designer side or the trade side, when the other one diminishes the other one's part in the project. When one is like, what's the big deal? You were scheduled to come Tuesday. I'm calling you. It's Monday at 5:00. We're going to change it to Wednesday. What's the big deal? It's like, well, actually, it is a big deal. You see,
right.
And there's a way to make it happen, right? So one is a conversation that diminishes the other person. One is a way that does not take into account the other person's schedule, and the other is, my goodness, I cannot believe it. I have a little bit of an emergency on my hands. Client A that you were supposed to start the wallpaper tomorrow, she's got 3 kids home sick, throwing up with the flu, and she doesn't want the distraction of your installation tomorrow. I'm so sorry. What can we do about this? You see? Right. And the thing is, like that sentence right there, what can we do about this? What is 99 men out of 100 going to do with that sentence?
They're going to try to help you.
They're exactly right. Right. It's like, how can I help this person? Right. Yep. And so, and the second thing is the 1% who really isn't interested in helping you just doesn't want to get sick with the flu. So he'll be like, right. Nah, not coming. So, but that's the thing. So you're on your way to finding some trades and relationships. And then don't forget, when you find your relationship with your painter, he probably knows an electrician and a plumber.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
Right. So you ask him once you have 1 or 2 projects with him, and you say, I haven't been able to settle on a plumber, that I can really rely on, or that I feel like has a great reputation. Do you know anybody? Your work is excellent. Who do you like to work with? Yeah. Yeah. So, so that's, some things. I'm glad that you have some inroads there, because it is very daunting to just think, am I going to the yellow pages here? Like, what's happening?
Do I put an ad out on Facebook?
Right.
Help me. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Now, just for a moment, for someone listening who is like, but I'm like Stephanie was a month ago, right? I don't have friends now that I've met. Is then you have to go, you have to go to your family network, right? If you have family in the area, friends in the area, start calling up your girlfriends and your aunts and your cousins and say, have you used a painter? Have you used a plumber? Do you like them? Are they reliable? I mean, there's no reason not to start with your personal network to grow your business network, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then beyond that, the other place that you can always go to is, which sounds crazy, and it's not as reliable as professional recommendations or your own family and friend recommendations. But if you truly are with the back against the wall, you can walk into a Home Depot and go into, the paint aisle and ask the painter, hey, the guy in the paint, hey, blah, blah, blah. And, you must get a lot of painters coming in here every single day, picking up paint for their projects. Anybody stand out to you that's really like a nice guy and does good work? Mm-hmm. My brother-in-law used to work at Home Depot, and we used to get tons of tradespeople from him, because a lot of the people that actually work at Home Depot moonlight, side hustle as tradesmen. You know what I mean? True. Actually, I should say it the other way. Their main business is their trade, and then they side hustle, at the Home Depot and the Lowe's and things like that, right? So, okay, so there's some strategies for that. What else are we dealing with, Steph?
Shipping.
Okay, specifically.
So if I order somebody a couch, where am I having it shipped to? My house?
No. What are you going to do with it there, right?
Exactly. Ship it to their house. Now I say, keep that in your garage. Don't touch it yet.
Right.
That, and I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, I have a warehouse space, or I have a shipping agency that takes care of that. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Right.
Have
you looked into it
since then? For that?
Yes, you do. Have you looked in to see if there are professional receiverships in your area yet? Or
I
no?
have, and I believe there is. But I've also heard that there's ones that specifically specialize with interior designers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or that. Okay, that's true. So they kind of, I guess, know what you're looking for.
Yes.
Okay. I think that there's one maybe about an hour and a half away from here.
Whoa.
I don't think there's one right here. Mm-hmm. So that's my,
What about the one of these two women that you said that she specializes in luxury new builds? What has she been doing?
I'm sure they have something. I haven't talked to them about that yet, which is probably where I need to ask next. Because they have been doing this and.
Mm-hmm. And how about the space that you guys are considering renting? Is there any space in that could be a space for receivership?
A little bit.
Yeah. Not really set up for it. Is there a loading dock and a garage door and things like that, or no?
No, there's a back alley with a door.
Okay, so that's not going to be great, because it's probably not going to be easy to get the bigger pieces in and out and yada yada. Okay.
So I do think one of the girls might own a warehouse, so we might be able to set something up there. But I mean, even if I didn't have them, I'm just still so confused about what people do.
Yes. Well, of course we know from the show that probably the greater majority of designers, when they start out, are not doing the collecting everything for the reveal day install. However, we have been counseled by many of the more successful designers to do that. And yes, and even from the beginning to do that. And so my thing is, the way I look at things is, if one person who's successful tells me something, I have to listen to it. If 3, 4, 5 people tell it to me, I have to listen to it. Mm-hmm. And so it does seem to be, on one hand, I have a lot of compassion for you starting out and trying to figure this out, because it does seem to be overwhelming to consider that, and to feel like the closest place is an hour and a half away, and I'm adding all of this expense to the project and all of these extra layers to the project. But I think it becomes like, it comes down to, what's your vision for your company? If you are looking at this like, you know what? I've been a hairstylist for 27 years. It was a great run. Let me see what interior design has for me. And I'm really passionate and I'd love to do it. But if in 3 or 4 years it doesn't work out, I'm not going to be crazy pants. Or are you like, this is what I was meant to do, and I've got 20 more years of life left to work, or 30 years. I don't have any idea how many years you have to work, Steph. I don't know how old you are, but this is the thing, and this is my career, and this is what I'm going to do. You see, so there's 2 different things in there. Which one are you? Where you fall in?
I'm going to do this.
Okay, then I would do it right from the beginning. That's my advice. I would do what I could do at every decision to do it the best I could do from the beginning. And that will be difficult. But and it may not always, not every single thing you attempt to do might be attainable to do the way it should be done at the beginning. But we've said it a billion times on the show, run your business like it's a big girl business. Even when it's a little business, even when you're a baby designer, because that's how you will scale, you see, because here's the thing, because here's the logic in it. If you were to say to yourself, yeah, I can't really take that on right now. I can't figure that out. It's too far away. It's never going to work. If you really intend for this to be the business that you just expressed that you want it to be, then you're eventually going to have to deal with it anyway.
Right.
Right? I mean, 3 years from now, you've got 5 projects going on. You've got, $400,000 worth of furniture between the 5 projects, all that have to go somewhere. You're going to have had figured it out. So my thing is, figure it out now when you're smaller, because think about the pressure. You have never done it. You've not found a receiver. You've not used one. You don't know if they're good. You don't know if they're reliable. You don't know if they, open your stuff and check it. You don't know if they actually do white glove delivery because, they physically do it, but maybe it's not so white glove. Maybe they're just really not that good at it. And now you actually have 2 or 3 big projects and you've got to hire somebody. And now you're big. You've got a reputation. You've got 16 billion balls in the air. And now we're going to test a new guy for all this? No, no. I would rather, hey, I have one little living room that I did. We've got a sofa, a love seat, a rug, 2 end tables, and a lamp, right? Right? The risk is so much lower there if they're not going to be a company that will do it to your standards. And also, too, if they are a company that will do it to your standards, you learn the ins and outs of how to work with them, how to be productive with them when you don't have that much on the line. Now, the obstacle is accounting for that within the process. So that means that it will mean that it's very important for you to attract a client who understands the value of full service. Not a DIYer that's like, hey, send over the coffee table and then 3 days later, send over the lamp. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's the distinction. But if your goal is to truly be somebody to reckon with a couple of years down the road in this industry, then I say learn it now and do it well and do it right.
Okay. So say I order furniture. I have it shipped to this warehouse, wherever this place is. Right. They check it, make sure it's all happy and perfect. Right. And then they truck it up to me.
Right. Right. And so if you're going to do the reveal model, you would have everything delivered there, and then you would arrange for your client to be away from the home for the day, whatever it is, and you would have it all deliver, and you would be on site when the truck arrives, and you would supervise them taking it off. And that's another really great thing I just realized. Your private sales rep could probably help you in finding a receiver, one that is good and reputable, because Kravitz sells furniture. They sell rugs. They sell accessories. Okay, yeah. Right. And so I get a lot of referrals from the fabric companies in the New York City Design Building, the D&D building, because they see my name, Window Works, as a ship-to for literally dozens of their designer accounts. And so every once in a while, I'll get a call and they'll say, we don't really know you, but we know that many of our clients are sending their fabrics to you, and we've got a designer here that's looking for a window treatment, person. Could we refer you? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
So to ask the furniture companies at the design center if they have some recommendations. So actually, the reps are going to have a little bit more casual conversation with them.
Okay, reps. Okay, cool.
All right, both of us struggling through our colds here, right?
I know.
What else is on that list of yours?
How important? And I don't want to sound stupid when I ask this, but
no stupid questions.
I don't care.
No stupid questions.
How important are these accreditations?
You mean ASID and NCDIQ and all that, IDQ and all of that? Mm-hmm. Honestly, they are as important or unimportant as they are to you personally.
Okay.
You see, because anybody who is an accredited designer from any of these things. I mean, the NCIDQ in particular is a bear of a test. And if somebody has passed that test, that is an accomplishment. There's no question. But the thing about it is anybody who is affiliated and passes the standards to be with IDS or ASID or to pass these tests, they absolutely have earned something and should be proud of themselves. But in the big picture, it is not going to relate to your success. It only will detract from your success if you cower in that I don't have these. I don't have an accreditation, so I must not be good enough. Right. Okay. It's what you own. So it doesn't take anything away, and it certainly is something to earn and to be proud of that you have the standing to pass these. And of course, listen, you know what? If I were like a person that got 9 gabillion letters in the mail, which I do get a gabillion, emails, what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking back in the day, like, don't send me a letter. There are people who take it very, very seriously, and they should, and they feel that if you work in this industry, that you should be licensed and you should be accredited and you should pass the test. I'm not even commenting on should, you see, just for clarification for the entire universe listening to us. You are asking me, do I think you need them? I know for a fact that you do not, because after 3 decades and more than 3 decades of working in this industry side by side with interior designers who are at the top of their game, who are profitable, that do not have these accreditations. So I'm not in the politics of if it should or it shouldn't. I'm just answering your question.
Right. Okay. It's probably like in my industry, you can be a board certified hair colorist, but there's like maybe 2 people in Washington State that are. Right. And does it make them be busier? Right. I don't know. So, okay.
Well, there are always consumers that will look for that as a benchmark, right? And that's their prerogative, and they do know that something comes. If you have an ASID accreditation after your name, that means that you have completed X amount of hours of school and education, and that you complete X amount of continuing education units, right? So it's 110% a worthwhile benchmark to evaluate a designer off of. But that's not the question you asked me. You asked if it matters to you, and it only matters to you if it matters to you. Okay. I would tell you
probably a loaded question.
It is a loaded question, and here's the thing. I'm going to say that this is going to be very much like, listen, if you were a hairstylist for 27 years, you're obviously not 27 years old, right? So, no. So the thing about it is that the starting salary in my mind, or starting hourly in my mind, is this combination of your technical skill, your confidence in your technical skill, your ability to express your technical skill, okay, and the client you want to attract, and to some extent, the area that you are in, only because certain areas, and few, but certain, do have the nuance of their area, right? So I'm thinking of Judith Neary on Vashon Island. Okay, so if you're doing business on an island of 2,000 people and there's 4 interior designers on that island, to some extent, it's going to be relative what everybody charges per hour, right? That's my thing. But if you are in a suburb of a major city like Seattle and your particular town has even 30 or 40,000 people in it, it's not so much a byproduct of your area then, in my mind. Because I know in a community of 40, 50, 60,000 people, there's probably at least 15 interior designers that are charging anywhere from $50 to $500 an hour, because that's just the way it is. That's just how the thing is. So it comes down to your skill set and your ability to execute a project with confidence, and also your, like I said, your ability to express your process with confidence. And my guess is, and I guess what I would say to you is, what do you think you should start out at?
I think I should start out at $100 an hour.
Great. Then do it. Absolutely. Okay. I mean, I definitely would. And if you think 100, I would say 115. That's just how I work.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And then, do you feel like the consultation should be, like a 230? If your hourly is 115.
And are you planning to do a 2-hour consultation?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really, yeah, you could do it that way. I mean, it's funny because some people will actually do it where it's, a little less than their combined 2 hours, a little more. I think, you know what this is? This is semantics, and this is what can you sell. You know, it really is. Okay. I mean, it really is. What can you sell? Because no matter what you say, if you told me that your hourly was 115 and your 2-hour consultation was 275, if you've said that, you're going to have somebody that says, oh, why would it be 275? Why wouldn't I just buy 2 hours? If you can answer that question, then you can charge 275. If you can't, then oh, well, yeah, I guess you're right. You know what I mean? So is there something that you do differently? Is there some, I don't know. And I'm not even suggesting that there is, but I don't think there's any reason not to just do it logically. Hi, Mrs. Smith, you could, my process is the first step is a 2-hour consultation, and that's $230,
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's so many different thoughts.
Well, and that's really what it comes down to, right? I mean, you could be asking these questions of Claire Jefford, of Veronica Solomon, of Nancy Ganskaufer, of Fred Burns, of Michelle Williams, and we probably could all give you 5 different answers. It's, for me, I don't think maybe we would all give 5 different answers actually, but for me, I think what it is a lot of times you'll hear when I answer your question, it's what do you think? What can you comfortably express? What can you say? Because it doesn't matter if I tell you something. If you can't believe it, you can't sell it. And so where it helps is if you need a little more help believing in yourself. So if you had said to me, I think when I said to you, what do you think you should start at? If you had said to me, I think 65 an hour, we would have been spending 10 minutes until I got you at least to 95. But you said 100. And I was like, okay, do 115.
Okay. That's cool. My next question is about just from your podcast, the other 2 podcasts I listened to about interior design, it seems like having a niche is the way to go. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. 110%. Yep. So you have 2 opportunities, this restyle niche and the feng shui. Right? And of course, they're not opposing. They can work in unison.
Yes.
But the restyle niche is not for everybody, and it doesn't typically lead to a lot of luxury design work. But if it's satisfying to you and it's what you really love, which is what you said to me in your email to me, is that you just love doing it, then there is a huge void in that area. There's a need all the way from top to bottom, all the different services. And that is a particular level of service that is often left untapped because most designers want to go into luxury design. I mean, that's just what it is. But if you love the restyle, you'll be busy.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. I'm kind of feeling like I'm starting like backwards. Like I've started with a niche, like, and I'm thinking it might grow out of that depending on what I learn. And,
absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. Definitely.
But I feel like it's a great way to start. You know, I'm not young. I need to get going.
We don't got time for that. We got to get going. That's how I was when I started the podcast, Steph. That's how I was. Like, let's do this. Let's get this train out of the track.
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome.
Can't waste any time.
That's it. I love it. No, and you're exactly right, because by niching, you will make it easy to identify you. You will make it for consumers to understand what they get when they come to you. But you will find that the consumer that says, oh my goodness, a restyle, that's awesome. I just really want to give this place an uplift. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater on this room. And every designer I've spoken to says, you know, the whole room has got to go. And what will happen is that woman will, in 3 or 4 years, actually move or be ready to throw everything away, and she'll remember that you were qualified and that you were helpful and that you were talented, and she'll call you and she'll say, you know, you do the whole room from scratch to start to finish, right? And you'll say, yes, I do. And so that's how it'll work.
Okay, that's cool. I like it. So what do you tell me about this, whether you go to school or not?
Well, I mean, I personally think it's important for an interior designer to go to school personally. I think that they're especially, well, and they also depend on what your goals are and what type of company you want to have. But there are so many facets. It's so detailed, and it's a hard industry. Now, having said that, we know that some of the most famous, most talented, well-known designers of our time did not go to school for it, right? So the thing what it is I don't know every single person that's been wildly successful that didn't go to school. I don't know their exact path. But my guess is that the majority of those probably spent a good deal of time working for a well-run interior design firm.
Right.
You see, you don't just usually put a shingle out, have no experience, and get to the top of the mountain. You know what I'm saying? In any industry, quite frankly, right? And so it depends, I think, on what your goal is. Again, I always talk from experience at WindowWorks. I absolutely have done window treatments for interior designers that truly were and are housewives that have great taste. And that one friend said, oh, you did such a great job in your living room. Can you help me with mine? And then a second one did, and a third one did. And the next thing you know, they're a designer. And it's like, okay, and do they make their way through, and do they figure it out, and do they learn it? Of course it's possible. It's possible to do anything you put your head to. It's just to what level of success are you shooting for, and to what level of client are you shooting for? Because if you don't have the skill set to do the floor plans and the drawings and all of that, then you're not likely to get the higher level, more complicated projects. You're going to do the types of projects that you can do based on your innate sense of style and scale and proportion that nobody taught you. You just knew. You see the difference? It's almost like, it's anything. It's just levels of what you want to do it. And not everybody aspires to have, $1 million high level luxury projects. Thank God. Like I just said a moment ago, we need people at every level. So I think it's just, look, you're in school now, you're getting your degree for it. You have decided that you want to do this as a career. I'm on board with that. I think that's a smart way to go. Okay.
So really my last, the website, I'm getting that this is a huge thing and I need to get on this. She laughs.
Yes, she does.
I just keep pushing it off to the side because I'm like, I don't even know what I would put on there.
Right.
But
Well,
and now I'm starting to think, okay, well, I think I really got to get this going on.
yes. So here's the thing. The website is our first place as an outside stranger to start to gauge who you are, what you are, and what you're capable of. And if you don't have that, I can't start that process with you.
Right.
You see? And if you have, here's what happens. Like for me, when I come across a designer, whether it's like this, you send me an email or somebody mentions them, whatever it is, if I can find them on Instagram and I can find them on Facebook and I can find them, on House, but they don't have a website, it says to me they're not serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, well, so what? All the playing around fun stuff is okay, but we didn't invest in our business, right? And it also says to me that all can go away in a minute. That person hasn't really committed to being a business. Now, that none of that might be true. You understand? I'm just expressing my perception of it, right? And so that's why I think it's important. And the thing of it is that there are ways, like you have a blog belongs on your website. There are ways to have content that are not portfolio content until you have portfolio content. And you know what we always say, we've been told 1,000 times by people on the show, your mother's house, your house, take 15 pictures of the same room, buy a different plant, put it in the corner again, put a different thing on the coffee table. And how about just that? You don't have portfolio shots, but you could do a very informative how to style a coffee table with your own darn coffee table and a bunch of accessories from all over your house.
Right.
And like, here's 3 different versions of a coffee table style. I mean, I'm so engrossed in that as a consumer that I don't even recognize there's no portfolio there. Right? Like from the beginning, right?
Okay.
So, however, I do think that it's very important to know who you are when you build your website and what your message is and who you want to attract. So that you do have to do some homework on. And when you think about investing the money in this leased space, I would, if we were doing a coaching session on, LuAnn, should I do this lease space? And that was the entire point of the session, then we go back to having a little bit more information and knowledge about the potential partners. B, we want to find out what are the conditions? Do we have a 1-month lease, month to month? Do we have a year? Do we have a 3? Do we have a 5? Who pays the electric and the gas? What if there's snow removal? Do we have to do that, or is that included? Like, there's like a billion things when you own a retail place or you run a retail place that you have to think about. Okay. So we'd have to go through all of that. But then I would be, and how many months rent do you have saved up before you sign on that dotted line? And to me, it has to be bare minimum of 3, and 6 or more would make me much happier, okay, as a new business owner. And so if we had gone down that whole road, and now you say to me, and I don't have a website, I might say, here's what I think maybe we do. Maybe that 6 month of stored money for the lease, we grab 3 months of that, we build our website, we put our calling card out there, and we delayed signing the lease for 3 more months while we build that kitty back up again. In other words, we have got the cart before the horse. If we're out there putting our name and signing on a document that we're going to be financially responsible for something, but we don't have that initial, I am a business, you can verify, you can come to my website, you can see that I'm a real grown-up business person.
Okay. Point taken.
Okay. And look, I don't know at this stage if you have the budget for it, but I cannot let this part go by without mentioning Nicole Heimer of Curio Electro, because you know how I feel about her. She especially is talented when you're in this. I kind of want to be known as a restyler. I kind of want to be known as a feng shui. I think those are my superpowers. How do I express that in a website? She's absolutely genius at it. So it's not inexpensive, though. I can tell you that. I do think that in January, though, she's launching a course that might be a group live coaching course, or it might be a course that you can buy, which of course that automatically makes it much more reasonably priced if you're not at the stage and have the funds to actually hire and engage her. But she's amazing.
So she can kind of grab out of you.
Yes.
Help you to verbalize.
Yes. Okay. She has the beginning of her the beginning of her process when you engage with her is her discovery process. And it's X amount of sessions. I quoted it one time on the show and she said to me, she goes, it's not that many sessions. I was like, all right, whatever. So it's 5 sessions, it's 4 sessions, whatever it is. But the thing about it is think about when you first go into a space and you first start to have your consultation with a client. You don't say, hello, how are you? Okay, you want a teen bedroom design. All right, I'll be here tomorrow. Bye. You know what I mean? You ask them 1,000 questions, and that's what she does in this discovery process. She asks you, what do you think of when you picture a designer that you admire? I'm going to make up complete questions. You know what I'm saying? When you've worked with somebody, what have they said about you? Whatever. She has. They're not my questions. They're her questions, right? But the point is that I always say it's like therapy for your business. It's you really. I mean, I did it with Window Works with her, and at that point we were in business already 35 years. And I won't say it was earth-shattering in the process of Window Works because I had already spent a lot of time, but I still did have aha moments. And I still was like, right, that is part of who we are and what we do. And what happens is when someone helps you tap into who you are and what you really want to do in your business, like that thing that is just the perfect project for you, and she helps you identify that, then what happens is she helps you write copy that talks exactly to that person. And now all of a sudden, you're not having the phone calls from, so if you wanted to do restyling, you're not going to get the phone calls from the people who are completely always doing a gut renovation. You're going to get the phone calls from the people who want restyling or whatever, or feng shui. I mean, it's just so, she makes a very loosey-goosey aspect of our business very finite and specific and process driven, and that's what I love about it.
I will look into that. Okay.
Anything else I can help you with?
I'm a little overwhelmed right now. So
really,
my brain, I've got all these notes. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, look, I know we're both sick, and so you probably would have been talking a lot more if you weren't afraid you were going to start coughing your head off, right?
Yeah.
But, here's what I will say in observation. You had good questions, right? It's like you know enough to know what you don't know, but your questions were questions that are good foundation questions to try and really get yourself established with. Often when I'm working with baby designers is that they're asking the question that's 4 steps away. And I'm like, we're not even there. We're just not even there. Like you can't ask that question yet. It's almost like, I always use the marathon as an example. It's like, well, where am I going to put the medal when I win the New York City Marathon? Like, could we buy sneakers first? Let's go find a pair of running shoes that feel good, right? And so I have to say I respect you, Stephanie, and I respect the questions that you brought today. And I'm, pretty darn sure that you're going to make a nice run at this and that you're going to create a business because you're starting out very intentional and very thoughtful in the way you do it. So I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So if you're ever on the East Coast, you got to come see me.
If I'm ever way over there.
That's it. Oh, man.
I definitely will.
Thank you so much for joining me and for, being willing to do this on air. It was a new thing for me too.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad I could do it, and I'm glad you have answers.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much, LuAnn. Bye-bye.
So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun for me. I'm not sure if it was a lot of fun for Stephanie, because I imagine it takes quite a bit of courage to come on air and expose yourself and ask the questions that you've been wanting to know about running your business. So I congratulate Stephanie on having the courage to do that, and I'm grateful for her for doing it, and I hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something as well. Okay, a couple of things that I want to point out about this particular conversation. The first thing is this collaboration that Stephanie and her friends are putting together. I love this idea. I love the idea. I don't really know. You heard it. I don't really know what this is going to ultimately be. But what I love is the idea of exploring it. I want them to go into it with good intention and with safeguards and with eyes wide open. But beyond that, I love the thought of it. I love the idea of being able to work with someone together but separately, so that together you're both enriched. I think I've said to you guys, one of the episodes way back, I mentioned that there was a design team. They were not a design team. That's just the point. There was two designers here in New Jersey that I worked with for many years, and they had their own completely separate businesses. One was commercial facing, the other was residential facing. They never did any projects together, ever, but they shared a office space here in New Jersey for probably 15 or 20 years. And it was a terrific collaboration because it was somebody there to look at and to say and to, high five when things are good and, pick you up when things are bad and just, share vendors and share expenses. And so I don't know what their collaboration, what form it'll ultimately take, but the idea is to explore it. And then, of course, I mentioned to Stephanie to re-listen to the episode with Lori Paranjape, episode 344, because that's yet a whole nother way to collaborate with another business in the industry. So Lori is a designer, and she collaborates with a retailer, and she went all through how that relationship works and benefits both of them. So interesting. I love it, and I think that it's terrific. And if you are working on any sort of collaboration, I'd love to know about it as well. Tell me in the Instagram post or the Facebook post, okay? Now, the other thing that I want to mention about this episode is when Stephanie said that she met this one woman and immediately they clicked, and she said, I think we should be in business together. And the woman said, I'm thinking the same. The thing about that I want to say about that is in real time listening to your intuition. And it takes a lot of I think it takes a lot of practice to cultivate listening to your intuition, and more practice in deciphering a true message from your inner voice and a crazy idea, right? And by the way, sometimes a true message from your inner voice starts out as a crazy idea. I'm not saying it doesn't. But I am a huge believer in this. And this is why, even though the quote unquote initial idea came from what might appear to a non-believer, I'm going to just, phrase it that way, as that's not the basis for starting a business partnership, but I know that it certainly can be. I absolutely know. And if you want to listen to a conversation about a step-by-step approach to learning to listen to your inner voice and learning to cultivate your intuition, I encourage you to go back and listen to episode 189 with Jan Bowen. It was funny in that episode because I have never had the language for the things that have happened and the things that I know that take place when I actively have my whole life listened to my inner voice and have believed in intuition and cultivated it. And then it was like, it would be, you know what it was like when that episode, it would be like if you did algebra your whole life, but you had no idea that the whole world called it algebra, and that you didn't know that there were principles in algebra that you could actually teach someone else to do this, crazy language of algebra that you thought, you just kind of had in you. So that's what happened. So not that I thought I invented intuition or that I invented listening to your inner voice, but I had no idea that people and experts had taken the time to quantify, to teach other people how to do it. And so that was so exciting for me because I'm a firm, huge, major believer in listening to your inner voice, and to find out that there is a way for someone to actually learn it and to become more skilled at it was so exciting for me. And so that happened in episode 189. Okay. So there are my two huge takeaways from this particular coaching session with Stephanie. And I thank you so much for joining me. If you are the only person on the planet that's living under a rock and doesn't know about LuAnn Niagara Live, it's about the conversation, the live 2.5-day event that I'm having this March 30th, 31st, and April 1st of 2019, that I encourage you to go back and listen to the episode that aired on Friday, December 21st, 2018, because I go all through it there. You also can go to LuAnnLive.com, LuAnnLive.com, and get all the details. And of course, the best thing is if you're on my email list, because if you're on my email list, anytime I do something, you're going to find out about it, because we send an email out every Wednesday saying, hey, this is what's happening in podcast land. And I got to tell you, the number of things that are coming up in quarter 1 and 2 are quite mind-boggling, to say the least. I will be at the International Window Covering Expo in Nashville in March. I will be also running a sales training for Exciting Windows in Nashville in March. I'm doing sales training for IWCE as well. We're having a podcast birthday party at Cravit in February. Let's see, what else? ASID, I'm running a panel for their design summit in New York City, February 4th. My goodness, I'm going to be at the IDS, their conference, giving a presentation there in May in Palm Springs. This is just off the top of my head. Oh, I'm going to Philadelphia. I'm going to go to the Design Center. We're going to have a book signing and a conversation there and a panel discussion there. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I couldn't possibly keep telling you all this on the podcast because you'd never tune in. So the best thing is to be on my email list, and you can do that by texting the number 444-999, and you will put in the text Design Biz, DESIGNBIZ, no caps, no spaces, and that will take you to one screen where you'll give us your email address, and then every Wednesday you'll get the list. You'll know what's going on, okay? So in the meantime, over the coming weeks, I'm going to share more and more with you about the event, about the designers that are going to be there, about my co-authors that are going to be there, because it is the launch of my second book. Did I tell you that this time or not? But it is The Things I Learned from a Well-Designed Business. The second book is coming out. In the meantime, I'm going to share some information about two of the sponsors. First of all, I'll tell you Wingnut Social is sponsoring, and I talked about Wingnut Social at the top of the show. So that's really cool. If you want to meet Darla and Natalie, you're going to want to come to this event, okay? But I also want to mention to you that Designer Inc. is sponsoring. Now, Heather Gillette is the founder of Designer Inc. She's been on the show several times. Just Google her go to LuAnnNiagara.com, go to the podcast page, put Heather's name in, Heather Gillette, and you will come up with her episode so you can learn more about Designer Inc. But in a nutshell, Designer Inc. is the single place to browse and to get quotes and to purchase furniture from over 1,000 trade-only sources, okay? And then the other sponsor that I want to share with you right now is Schwartz Design Showroom. They are located here in New Jersey, and they also have a location in Connecticut. They are led by the dynamic powerhouse, Alexis Schwartz. She is a third year generation in the furniture business. Her grandfather started this business and her mother worked and owned it for several years, and now Alexis owns it. And this is a place here, New Jersey and Connecticut, as I said, where Alexis and her staff help your client experience be better. Okay. So they feature their the finest lines in furniture, rugs, lighting, and accessories, and they help you through the whole purchasing process there. Okay, so I encourage you to look up the schwartzdesignshowroom.com and learn more about them. Okay, so as I said, I'll be sharing more about the other sponsors that are on board and the panelists and so forth as the weeks go by. In the meantime, you got to make a decision, right? It's that time. What are you going to do? Are you going to reach out to a designer bestie and say, how can we collaborate together? Are you going to finally, for once and for all, understand that your inner voice is never, never, ever, ever wrong? It's not possible for your true inner voice to lead you wrong. So start to trust in that and believe in that and have confidence in that. Okay, big game changer in life when you place your confidence in yourself, right? Okay, whatever it is, it's the beginning of the new year. It's only a few days in, and we should still be feeling all shiny and happy and new, right? Oh my goodness. All righty. Just decide to be excellent. Just let's call it that. Just decide to be excellent, and you get it all covered with that. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.